Should a man be with a woman who has a high body count? A week ago, a friend of mine sent me a clip of a person talking about Brittni and I in regards to the subject, and it's on the Whatever podcast. And I would love to address and talk about this topic because the person who was talking was a female, and I would like to address it from the male side. So let's take a look at this clip.
I do have a quick question. You know, if I repented from my sins, would like a church guy, would a Christian guy who's, you know, got great morals still like marry me?
Go for you. No,
Yeah.
you're done. I'm sorry.
Hey,
So,
I don't think
go ahead.
this question was
No,
directed.
Go ahead.
You
Sorry.
stay out of it, you.
I'm out of it.
I do think it's possible, absolutely. There's Brittni de la Mora that Manny brought up earlier, but she was a former porn star. She was a porn star for 6 years, and she married a Christian man, and she now has made it her mission to help other women getting out of the industry. So I don't believe, is everyone going to be like, yes?
Yeah.
No, there's going to be people like Brian who are like, absolutely no.
You're a godly
Smart.
man, aren't you?
Smart.
You are written off, but
You're
I
written
just
off.
go,
Sorry, Lily.
no, there is forgiveness, there is that hope and that redemption for your story to turn around, and there absolutely could be a Christian man who'd...
But, you know, if we're looking at the scales, she's had sex with over 100 men.
Right.
Okay. I'm sorry. I apologize.
In
I'm
your
sorry.
current state and your current portrayal and how you are presenting yourself to the world, no, I don't think a true Christian man who's following the Lord is going to pursue you. But if you repented and said, hey, I'm a follower of Jesus now, I want to turn my life around, I want to do things differently, I absolutely think there are men out there who would find forgiveness just as Jesus has forgave you.
To answer that question, I think that there is a certain man who would be with a woman who has a high body count and vice versa. I think there is a certain woman who would be with a certain man who has a high body count. And the reason why I paint that is because I feel at times it's always, you know, the women that we look down upon when it comes to body count. But to be honest with you, I think it needs to go both ways. I think it's hypocritical if it's only the women that we look at with a high body count and not a male. I had a friend of mine who I was talking to. He's not saved. And I asked him, well, what do you think about a woman who has a high body count? Would you be with them? And he's like, absolutely not. They need to be, you know, less than 10 for me to even have a conversation with them. But then I asked him, I was like, well, haven't you slept around with at least 30 or 40 people? He's like, yeah, but you know, it's different. How is it different? It's not different. I think we need to, I think it's hypocritical, and we need to set the same standards when it comes to our lives. So going back to that question, I do believe that there is a certain person who would be with a person who has a high body count. But to be honest with you, it all depends if they have truly repented. You see, when it came to Brittni and I, her and I started dating in 2014. But before that, you know, Brittni, she was getting her heart healed. You know, she took a year off of dating. She went through the process. She went through therapy. She had accountability, and she was working on her heart. And that right there was a green flag for me, because she was a woman who wanted nothing to do with her past. She didn't want nothing to do. She wanted nothing to do with hookup culture. She wanted to honor God with her body. And when I saw her honoring her body, because she wanted to honor God, it told me that she values herself, that she understands her identity and her value. And that right there opened up the conversation for her and I to start dating. But to be honest with you, if she didn't do that, it would have been a no-go for me, because I'm not going to be with somebody who's 1 foot in, who's 1 foot out, who's still a part of hookup culture. No, I want to be with somebody who honors their body, and that is a reflection of them honoring God. And that right there tells me, you know what? Because I honor myself and because I honor God, I am somebody who will honor you in the process. And I think for Brittni, that's what she did. And that's what really caught my attention. And I think if you're here and you're watching, and if you know you're seeing somebody who has a high body count, but if they're going through the process and they're getting their heart healed and they're no longer, you know, sleeping around, they're not part of hookup culture, and they truly repented and they're getting their heart right, man, I think that's something that you should pray about. I think that's something that you should talk to God and ask God, God, could I be with somebody who has a high body count? Because I want to be honest with you, in full transparency, it is not easy being with somebody who has a high body count. With Brittni, I knew the repercussions I was going to get. My wife was in the adult film industry for 7 years. I know the woman on the video says 6, but she was in the industry for 7 years. So she has a lot of videos out there, and there's a lot of times in our relationship, and still to this day, I get those videos sent to me. And it's not easy. I think about later on when my kids grow up, I got to have the conversation about their mother and what she has done in the past. That is not an easy conversation. This is why it's so imperative that we're not a part of hookup culture, that, we fight for sexual purity. We fight to honor our body. So in doing so, we honor God. That's why it's so imperative that God is telling us to wait to save ourselves. So when it does become time that we marry our spouse, that we become one and we honor each other with our body, and we're not connected to all these past, relationships that ultimately could hinder our relationship if we don't get healed. That's why it is so imperative that we save ourselves, because there is repercussions. And that's what I want to tell you here today. If you're watching, if you're part of hookup culture, just don't think about the now. Think about the repercussions, because one day there's going to be somebody that's going to be head over heels for you, that you're going to love, and you can make it a whole lot easier on that person's life if you save yourself for marriage and you do it God's way. I also truly believe that, it's going to take a certain person to be with a certain person who has a high body count. And I think that's God's grace upon your life. I know for me, not everybody could be in, the relationship that I am. And I totally understand that. It is a lot. But you know what I realize sometimes about love, you guys, that, when you truly love someone, you will go in the valleys with them. You will go through the hard times with them. You will go in the struggle with them. For me personally, I wasn't going to allow a past season, our past seasons of Brittni's life, to hinder what her and I could become, because after she repented, the Bible says she's become a new creation. So she's no longer her past, right? She is a product of God's grace. And for me personally, I had this unconditional love for her, and I saw a future with her. Yes, is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Yes, is there repercussions? Absolutely. Yes, at times, is it humiliating? Absolutely. But I think everything in life, there's going to be some type of hard. I read a quote that said, choose your hard. And I love that quote, because I think that's the same. I think that pertains to relationships as well. Choose your hard. There's going to be people with a high body count. There's going to be people who have trauma issues or certain types of issues. There's always an issue. But don't let the person you love leave your life become an issue because of someone's opinion about them. I don't want that to be my issue. Maybe you're watching here today and you're like, bro, you're crazy. I'll never be with someone like Brittni. That's cool. But I am not going to allow your perspective to be my perspective. I'm not going to allow what you see as forget that person. That's a throwaway person. That person's there's no value on that girl. No. I'm not going to allow your opinion to shape my perspective. I love my wife. I love everything about her, past, present, and all. And I'll continue to fight for that girl because I love her. And she is a woman who has been radically changed and transformed. And, I would go, through ins and outs. I would go through trials and tribulations for her, because that's the person that I want to be with, and that's the person whom I desire. So, to answer that question, I hope that helps out somebody. And I also want to say this, it's just coming up to my mind right now. If you're somebody who has a high body count and you're like, Rich, I don't know if I'll ever find the love of my life, I should just settle. I want to tell you, there is somebody out there. There is somebody out there. If you have repented and you have changed your ways, there's somebody out there that's going to see you as a new creation in Christ. There's going to be somebody out there who has the grace upon their life to be with somebody like you. So my words for you is, don't marginalize yourself. Don't limit yourself. Don't settle because of what you went through. Okay? There is somebody out there, but if you can patiently wait and open up your arms, to the right person that God sends you, because I don't know who that is. Sometimes God has a way with people. Like for me personally, and I'm going to just keep it 100 with you guys today. I would never really want to be with somebody who has a past like my wife. Like all the girls that I dated didn't really have a past. But for some odd reason, God sent me Brittni. And there's an old saying that goes, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. I gave God my plans, and you know what? He made me laugh. But in the end, I am laughing and having joy with the person that I love. And I would have it no other way. So I hope this word encouraged you also. Good news, y'all. I am writing a book about this topic, body count. It's coming out this summer. It's going to be great. Hey, I want to know your thoughts about this video. What do you think? Should you be with a person who has a high body count? What do you think? Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in right here at Love Always Ministries. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Press that like button. Love y'all.